I spent a considerable amount of time trying to film this first video. This is my first time back at YouTube in, like 4 years, I want to say. 3 or 4 years, something like that. I'll have to go back and look at when I posted that first video, but I've made 4 or 5 attempts at this throughout my career so far. And I've been at this for about 7.5 years. And every time I've attempted to come to this platform to use my voice to say something to you, I've always felt an immense amount of imposter syndrome. This feeling that, like, if I were to come on and use my voice to say something, to try and teach people something, what if I just come off as a fraud? What if I don't actually know what I'm talking about? What if I give you false information and then you try and run with it and it ruins your life? Not that it would, but these are the kind of thoughts that were going through my head every time that I tried to start this, and so I give up. As many people who start a YouTube channel do. It's hard. This is my 3rd attempt in the last 24 hours to film this first video. I completely edited the second draft that I had and then erased it all and started from scratch with this one because I felt like I could do better. So I'm coming at this YouTube channel from a place of humility. All I'm trying to do is share my personal experience and be vulnerable and show that, I've made mistakes, and hopefully someone, even if it's just one person out there, can learn from that. I mean, that's worth it. That's worth all the work that I'm doing to make this channel happen. Don't take what I say as gospel. Like, I'm not qualified, but I've had a decent amount of experience in this so far, and I feel like people could learn from my experience. So, my name's Damien. I am an active working cinematographer or director of photography in the commercial and documentary film industry. I have been doing this for about 7.5 years full time. I've been fortunate enough to work in various capacities with brands such as these. I've shot 2 narrative features, 1 feature documentary, and about 18 short films, in addition to about 500 interviews so far, as well as just a lot of straight-up commercial work. And I like to attribute a lot of that experience to my experience on set in indie films. And I grew up in that, and that's how I learned to light. That's how I learned to move the camera and tell a story. And I've brought that into my commercial work with the intent of using it to help motivate good storytelling. I have so much more to learn. Okay, I've only been at this for 7.5 years. That's a very slim amount of time in the grand scheme of someone's entire life. But I will never stop learning. And that's why I love the film industry. It's so diverse with the amount of people that I get to work with and their backgrounds and how they came up in the film industry, as well as the diversity in the problems that I'm solving every day on set, the locations that I'm working in, the weather, indoor, outdoor, the lighting scenarios. Like, it's all always changing. And that's what keeps me motivated. I always joke that I would be the worst employee working at a desk because I cannot sit still. And the diversity that I get in this career, everything always shifting and changing, is what keeps me motivated, and it keeps my brain working, and it keeps me interested. However, I didn't go to film school. I went to business school. The thing that I consistently see lacking from not just YouTube, but the film industry as a whole, is resources for people to learn how to properly brand themselves and promote themselves and lead people and learn charisma, learn the nitty-gritty of how to run their business. Because at the end of the day, regardless of what you think about capitalism and art and whether or not we should be paid for it, all that, put that aside. In order to successfully have a career in the film industry, you are a business. You are a self-employed freelancer, and your business is your brand. Okay, so the resources that I see out in the film industry for how to do all that stuff, they're very slim. You have to do a lot of digging. But I hope that this channel will at least give you some good resources and and advice on how to do that stuff, because there's just so few resources, out there for how to do this successfully. This is the very first video that I've done. I want you to take a sec and just reset your mindset, especially if right now you think something along the lines of like, I have to pay my dues. I have to be the starving artist in order to be successful. I have to grind. I'm gonna try and convince you that you don't have to do that. I'm pretty convinced that you have to be good to a certain point as far as your skill set goes. You have to be skilled enough as a technician to do good quality work. I think the rest of that is made up by how successfully you run your personal brand. That includes things like how wide is your network? Are you responding to emails right away? Are you charismatic? Or if you take something from someone, are you giving back 10 times what you took? In order to be successful long-term in this industry, I'm convinced that you have to approach this first as an entrepreneur and second as an artist. And this channel is dedicated to teaching you how to do that. Trying to grow in a convoluted field like this, that's very niche, is exciting, but also difficult for the same reasons. And that's that you can follow anyone's exact path, how they got somewhere and how they became successful in the film industry, but you'll never end up in the same place because it's so diverse and every opportunity is different and every person's different and every relationship's different. So that being said, I can't teach you exactly how to be successful, but glean from as many different experiences as you can. So my channel, other people's channel, your people in your network, so that you can see the mistakes they made and try and avoid those while also implementing strategies that they may have implemented to see success early on in their career. Help others first. I think the most important thing you can do from the beginning is help others first. Coming at this industry as a selfless person, ready to just help other people succeed and adopting the mentality that a rising tide raises all ships, I think is absolutely the best way to stand out, because the reality is in the film industry, in any creative career, there's a lot of ego. And if you can be someone who doesn't show their ego, who uses their ego instead to compete against themselves, you'll stick out above the rest in a very good way, and people will notice. You have to accept that you are the only person that wants you to succeed. The people who care about you will show you support and they will show you that they want you to succeed. The reality is they want you to succeed just as long as you're not doing better than they are. Knowing that, what's the point in using ego to compete and put others down? Turn that ego inside on yourself and compete against yesterday's version of you, last week's version of you, last year's version of you, and use it to fuel and drive yourself to be better every day. And eventually you'll be the best version of yourself that you possibly can be. This channel is dedicated to the people who want to work in the creative field, who are already working in a creative field, but they feel stuck, they feel like they're in the valley of despair, they feel like they've been doing this for a long time, why aren't they seeing improvement? If that describes you even to a small extent, I would bet that the thing that is holding you back isn't your lack of creativity or your lack of skill, it's your lack of know-how as far as how to run your own personal brand. You are a business. You're a freelancer. You have to run this like any other business. And this channel is dedicated to teaching you how to do that. Okay, so what's the scope of this channel? Fundamentally, we're going to approach creativity from a business mindset. We're going to explore how to be successful first as an entrepreneur and second as an artist. We're going to talk about self-promotion, self-marketing, investment strategies, charisma, leadership, how to build your brand as someone worth hiring. All of these things are absolutely crucial to running any successful business, but they're especially important in the creative industry. So let's go. Here's a shit ton of BTS from the last few years.